Hey everybody, welcome to lesson 3 of our Kajukenbo at-home workout series. If this is your first time joining us, welcome! But don't be scared off by the number 3. Everything we're doing today is super fundamental basics. But we are going to be reviewing some of the things that we've already covered in the first 2 lessons, so you can check them out at this link right here. Otherwise, we're going to jump right into our warm-up, and those of you who have been here before, you know what I'm talking about, the body roll. So most of y'all are already probably familiar with the body roll, so if you want to skip ahead to this time code, be my guest. But otherwise, we're going to start by rolling out our ankle joints. So you want to roll these, get a full range of motion. You want to loosen up all the joints in your body because you're about to do a lot of work. So you change directions after 10 reps, and then make sure to work the other foot. So I'm sure a few of y'all, this is your first martial arts experience, period. I know a lot of y'all already know what Kajukenbo is, but if you don't, I want to go ahead and explain it for you. So, in simple terms, Kajukenbo is the first mixed martial art in the United States. In the late 1940s in Hawaii, a group of martial artists got together, they all studied different disciplines, and they wanted to train together. So they decided to codify what they were doing, and they called it Kajukenbo. Kajukenbo is a compilation of karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, kempo, and boxing. There's also a couple other things built in there. The founders had some experience with kung fu, they had some experience with Kali stick fighting, so they brought that in there as well. And as the martial arts have evolved, they've started to bring in new things like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's just one of those martial arts that you can bring a lot of stuff into, and it's more of a philosophy of training than it is a codified specific martial art. So don't get too caught up on, oh, what you're doing doesn't look like what my instructor did, or it doesn't look like, sorry, good pop. It doesn't look like what I did last week. It's never going to look the same twice. This is a self-defense system, so ultimately, my school is most focused on teaching our students to be safe out in the streets and learning how to protect themselves. But some schools are more focused on, let's say, sport karate, or they're more focused on MMA. That's totally fine. Kajukenbo can be a lot of things to a bunch of different people, but it's all Kajukenbo. That's what I like about it. And what you'll find is that because there's so many different aspects in it, from striking to grappling to throwing to weapons, is that you're naturally going to find things that you enjoy and things that you're good at. And I always recommend get familiar with all the things, regardless of whether or not you're good at them, but really focus on the things that you're good at and the things that you enjoy. So I happen to really enjoy the striking, so I study that a lot. But I'm still relatively diligent in my grappling and throwing training, and I'm competent with a set of sticks. So don't feel like you have to be an expert at every single aspect of Kajukenbo. You just want to study every single aspect. You want to be an expert at the parts that you love, and the parts that you're good at. So we finished rolling out the head, and we're ready to go. All right, our joints are nice and loosened up now, so now we're going to move on to a classic bodyweight strength training circuit. You're going to do a 5-to-1 of 3 different exercises. So that means you're going to be doing 5 reps of the first exercise, 5 reps of the second exercise, 5 reps of the third exercise, and then 4 of everything, 3 of everything, 2, and 1. It shouldn't take long, but you're going to find it gets hard very quickly. The 3 exercises we're going to do are going to be the squat, the push-up, and the sit-up. Now we're going to modify these a little bit, maybe be something you haven't seen before, but if that's too hard and you need to do the standard version, don't worry, that's perfectly fine. So without further ado, let's get started. So the modification for the squat is we're going to be doing a jump squat. Reason being is martial arts is an explosive endeavor. We're constantly bouncing on our feet, putting a lot of pressure on our lower body. So regular squat is great, but if you can do a jump squat, it better prepares you for what you're going to be doing in martial arts. So the way the jump squat works is my feet are slightly outside my shoulders, I sit back down at my heels, and then from here I shoot up straight into the air as high as I can. Boom. Just like that. From the side, I'm keeping my heels on the ground and then jumping straight up. Just like that. I'm going all the way down here almost to the ground. I have that mobility. If you don't have that mobility, this is totally fine. The only one that's not fine is right here. That's not a squat. You got to go at least down to here. So, modification for the squat, jump squat. The push-up modification we're going to be doing is a push-up shoulder tap. So I'm here, standard push-up position. I go chest to ground, all the way up, and then I touch right hand to left shoulder and left hand to right shoulder. I'm trying not to excessively rock to the side, making my core engage to keep me more or less straight. I'm even adding a little bit of a hold here. So I go down, hold, 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 hold. From the side, chest to ground, boom, right there. So the last exercise is a sit-up. You know what a classic sit-up looks like. You're here on your back, sit up to your knees, and then back down.
The modification we're going to make is not that different. We're going to do what's called a sit-up pop-up. The only thing that's changing is I'm doing an explosive way up, and I'm not trying to make it all the way to my knees. I'm just going 45 degrees right there. But I don't want to go slow. Normally with a sit-up, you try and peel yourself off the ground. But with a sit-up pop-up, you're exploding off the ground in one explosive movement and then laying back down. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. You're forcing those muscles in your stomach to contract quickly to shoot you off the ground. I'm not using my hands to push myself off the ground like that. It's all in my core shooting me up like that. So, sit up, pop up. If you need to put something at your feet to hold you in place, that's totally fine. So I'm a big fan of the counting down method, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of a certain exercise, but I understand that for some people it's a little confusing, so don't worry, I'll be doing it with y'all. So, we're doing 5 reps, starting with the jump squat. So I sit down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Immediately down to the ground for the push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Nice. Then watch this cool way I get down to my butt. You don't have to do that, it's just cool.
And now sit up, pop up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On your feet. Now we're going to 4 of everything. Squat jump. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On your feet. 3 of everything. 1, 2, 3. To the ground. 1, 2, 3. Sit up, pop up. 1, 2, 3. Almost there. 2 of everything. 1, 2. Onto the ground. 1, 2. 1, 2. Last set. 1, 1, 1. So that's our warm-up bodyweight strength circuit. If you need a little bit more, try climbing back up, so 1 to 5 rather than 5 to 1. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next exercise. So we've covered the reverse punch before, but just to review real quick, you step through with the rear leg, throw the opposite hand. Again, you step forward with the rear leg, throw the opposite hand. For our warm-up, we're going to do 5 forward reverse punches and then 5 backward reverse punches. So it's going to look like this. I step forward and I go 1, 2, let's pretend that's 5, and I'm going to step back, throw the opposite hand again, boom, right there. The trick for this is don't think the leg that's moving is always the opposite leg. It's the leg that's in front. So if this is the leg that stays in front, I'm throwing this hand. When this leg becomes the leg in front, I'm throwing the opposite hand. So when you move backwards, it gets a little confusing, but just remember, what leg's in front? Oh, I throw that one. What leg's in front? Oh, I throw that one. So, 5 forward, 5 backwards. All right, guys, let's get to work. So you're here in your fighting stance. Remember to exhale every time that punch lands. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice work. Do that 2 more times, and then let's move on. So in case you couldn't tell from the warm-up, today we're going to be focusing on karate-style striking. Now, me personally, I don't like to think of karate-style striking, boxing-style striking, kickboxing-style. None of that matters to me. I want you and me to agree that it's all striking. You're going to take what you like and practice that, and the stuff you don't like, you're also going to practice it, but maybe not as often as the stuff that you do like. All right, that said, let's move on to our kicks. All right, so to kick off our kick set, we're going to start with 10 front kicks on both legs and then 10 roundhouse kicks on both legs. So I'm here in my fighting stance, I lift my knee, flick out the front kick, and then bring it back. We do 10 of those, and then switch, do it again. Since I'm not going into great detail on how to do these, I'm going to do them with you. So we're here in our fighting stance, right leg back, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, facing you, 4, 5, 6, 7, other side, 8, 9, 10. Nice. Then I switch stance, left leg back, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So before we move on to our roundhouse kick, let's do a quick review. I'm here in my fighting stance. My foot is facing at 12 o'clock. I'm going to turn it to 3 o'clock, bring my knee up, flick, bring it back. So again, 12 to 3, kick, bring it back. I'm using my arm as a counterbalance here. This arm's staying up here. It's not dropping down like that. Your arms need to stay engaged. Your core needs to stay engaged. 10 with the left leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we switch to the other side. Left leg in front, right leg kicking. And let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are your basic kicks for the day. So I just said those were our basic kicks for the day, which implies there's going to be complicated kicks, which isn't actually true. We're just going to be taking the basics and chaining them together. For me, advanced martial arts is just basic martial arts done really well. So now we're going to do 2 basic kicks back to back. Don't get freaked out. So earlier today, we practiced the front kick into the roundhouse kick. Now we're going to practice the front kick into the roundhouse kick, which looks like this. I'm here in my fighting stance. I throw my rear leg front kick. It's going to land in front, and now I'm going to throw my left leg, which is now my rear leg, roundhouse kick. And then I bring it back. So it looks again like front kick, roundhouse kick. Take it nice and slow. If you need to go front kick, find your balance where you're at, and then roundhouse kick, that's totally fine. But you're going to do 10 starting with the right leg, and then turn, 10 starting with the left leg. Front kick to roundhouse kick. Come back when you get it done. So that was our front kick to roundhouse kick. Put that roundhouse kick in your back pocket because we're going to come back to it. But for now, we're going to move on to knees. So you might think that throwing knees is pretty easy. And you're right, but there's a couple things you need to be aware of. First thing you need to be aware of is that you are not the target. What I mean by that is you don't want to bring your knee back and try to hit yourself like that. And you also don't want to bring your knee straight up like you're trying to step over an obstacle. Your opponent's in front of you, so you need to drive your knee forward. I'm here in my fighting stance. I'm going to take a slight step forward because remember, my knee is shorter than my feet. So if I can reach with this front kick, I definitely can't reach with this knee. So you'll notice I use the ball of my foot to explode my hip forward and then come back. So don't just come right here. You're never going to hit your target like that, and even if you do, there's no power in it. So I drive my foot into the ground like that and shoot my hip forward so it looks like whoosh. What are my hands doing? My hands are working as a counterbalance to keep me from throwing myself off balance when I throw my knee. But you can also imagine that your opponent's in front of you, you're grabbing a hold of them and pulling them to the knee. Your strikes are always more powerful when it's 2 forces meeting like this, not just one stabbing through. So I'm grabbing onto my opponent, pulling him into me here like this. So the way I want you to practice this is you're here in your fighting stance, you take a step with the lead foot, standing on the ball of your foot, you're going to drive your hip forward and then land in front, then you're going to come immediately with the other leg. Boom. So it looks like you're going to practice 10 with both legs. So both legs count as 1. Have fun with it. Okay, so those were our rear knees. You practiced your right and your left together because normally if you can land one, you can land both, and why not get more practice in if you're doing it anyway? That being said, we're gonna move on to the bicycle knee. So to do the bicycle knee, first thing you have to do is go buy a bike. Anyway, the way this knee works, it's very similar to the crane kick that we did in lesson 2. I'm gonna bring my rear leg up and then jump out with the other knee. Now, what I'm not doing is trying to go up with this rear leg. I'm not trying to come here and throw that there. I'm going forward. I'm imagining my opponent's pretty far away from me, and I'm throwing my knee from distance. They normally don't expect it to come forward like that. So again, my rear foot comes up, steps down in front of me, not behind me, and then I drive the opposite knee out. It's one fluid motion. I'm bicycling my legs. Knee up, knee out. Just like that there. I'm landing soft on my feet here. If you can cover a couple feet, cover a couple feet. If you've only got this much movement in you, that's all you got. Practice it. This time I want you to time it. You have 2 minutes practicing with the left leg throwing the kick, and then again with the right leg throwing the kick. 2 minutes per leg. Don't freak out. It's gonna be fine. It's just like riding a bike. So earlier I told you to shelve the roundhouse kick because we were gonna come back to it. Well, now we're coming back to it. We're gonna be doing the spinning roundhouse kick. Okay, so the spinning roundhouse kick. I like using it to get distance on my opponent, just like with the bicycle knee. So I'm here in my right forward stance. I take a step forward with the rear leg, spin, boom. You got that? Practice it. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna be here in a left forward stance. My rear leg is gonna step to about 11 o'clock. I step across like this. From there, my left leg, which was my original lead leg, is gonna turn back around into a left forward stance. From there, I just throw a regular roundhouse kick. That's all this is. You're just turning yourself around and then throwing the roundhouse kick. Especially while you're learning, think about this as 1, 2, 3. Don't try to think of it as a fluid motion yet. Get the basics down and then add some speed into it. So again, it's here, I step across, roundhouse kick. So you'll notice how slow I was going through that. That's how slow I want you to start. As you get comfortable, add some more speed in. Eventually, you should be able to throw it like a fluid motion. But in the beginning, build your foundation. Start slow, accelerate from there. All right, I'll see you guys when you get done. So those were our kicks for the day. We did the front kick, roundhouse kick, front 2 roundhouse kick, the rear knees, the bicycle knee, and finally the spinning roundhouse kick. I'd say that's probably a lot for the day. Now let's move on to some punching. Before we move on to the punching proper, I need to make sure we're all speaking the same language. Specifically, I need to make sure we all have the same understanding of a middle block and a reverse middle block. Okay, so I'm gonna teach you guys the way I learned it. You're gonna start in your horse stance, which is right here, in a wide squat, toes out, knees out, not in here close, not in a split, right there. If you have the mobility, you can sit down in your hips, or you can be here, whichever's comfortable. The middle block starts, hands up, and then drop it down across like a seatbelt. Hand up, drop it down across like a seatbelt. I'm maintaining an angle in my arm here because I'm assuming a punch is coming towards me and I want to stop it before it has a chance to hit me. If you throw your middle blocks here, you've already gotten hit. So I'm here, block, here, block. So we're gonna work 10 just like this. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's your middle block. The reverse middle block is very similar. Again, we're in our horse stance. I'm gonna bring my arm up here like this, across my body, and then I'm gonna turn it out like that. My palm is now facing you guys. So it comes up, back out like this. Up, back out like this. Again, punch is coming towards me. Boom. For those of you who watch Karate Kid, you should know this movement. Boom, reverse middle block. Again, we're gonna do 10. Let's go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a reverse middle block. Middle block, palm facing you. Reverse middle block, palm facing out. Okay, so for our first combination, we're gonna be here in our fighting stance. We're gonna throw a lead middle block and then throw a lead punch to a rear punch. So again, it goes middle block, bop, bop, right there. The hand that blocks is the same hand that's punching. So again, it looks like middle block, jab, cross. Middle block, jab, cross. I'm not using karate terminology because it's all striking, remember? So traditionally, these are taught as blocks for punches. The opponent punches in, you block, and then return with your own punch. That's fine if you can make that work, but for me, I've noticed that the opponents normally are too fast with their punch. Even if I whip that in as fast as I can, normally their arm is retracting by the time I'm throwing my own punch. But the way that I found that I can make it work is if I don't think about it as a block, but instead I think of it as a trap. So as you can see from this video, I'm taking this middle block and moving my opponent's hand out of the way and then sneaking in with that same side punch. I'm pulling their hand out of the way and then throwing my own punch in. I've always found that works for me. So you're gonna do 2 minutes per stance. I'm here in my left forward stance, I go middle block, 1, 2, middle block, 1, 2. After 2 minutes, I switch to the other stance, right forward, middle block, 1, 2, middle block, 1, 2. All right, I'll see you guys when you get done. So combination 1 was a middle block to same side punch to a cross. Combination 2 is gonna be reverse middle block to a cross to a jab. So for my combination, I'm here in my fighting stance. I step forward, reverse middle block, step forward cross, step forward jab. Once again, I'm going right hand, right hand, or if I'm in the opposite stance, I'm going left hand, left hand. One side, other side, other side. All right, so once again, I'm not thinking about this as a middle block. Instead, I'm thinking about it as a hand trap. What I'm doing is I'm using that reverse middle block to peel my opponent's hand out of the way, then throwing my cross and following up with my jab. So once again, I'm peeling the hand out of the way and then cross jab. This is how I found the reverse middle block is most useful. I'm not saying it's 100% the only way to use this technique, but this is the highest percentage usage that I've found. So I want you guys to practice 2 minutes from the left forward stance and then 2 minutes from the right forward stance. And if you want to, you can then play with going middle block to reverse middle block, see how good you get it flowing with the two of them. Either way, get that all done and let's move on. So those were our blocks and how to apply them in a sparring situation. We're gonna stick with the reverse middle block and add the knee down hammer fist. Let's see what we've got. Okay, so this combination is gonna look a little funky, but bear with me, it's gonna make sense. I'm here in my left forward stance. Again, I throw a reverse middle block and then I throw a reverse punch. Now I'm gonna step forward with the rear leg, put it down on the ground and throw a rear hammer fist. All I'm doing is hinging at the elbow like that. So again, it looks like reverse middle block, punch, knee down, hammer fist. If you don't have the mobility to put your knee down, you can come to right there, that's totally fine. Notice I'm bringing my hand to my chest. That's on purpose, I want you to make sure you're doing that. So as you can see in this clip, what she's doing by chambering her hand to her chest is trapping my leg to her. So I now don't have any balance. She punches me in the gut and steps forward, and that knee down strike is actually a sweep. She's taking my balance one step further and throwing me to the ground. There's an application to everything in martial arts. It's just not always as simple as punch harder, kick harder. Sometimes you're practicing trapping, sometimes you're practicing throwing, but it looks like striking. Again, everything has application. So you're gonna practice 2 minutes with the left leg in front, and then 2 minutes with the right leg in front. Take your time, make sure you have that mobility in the knee. Don't slam your knee into the ground, especially if you have concrete. Be gentle with yourself. So those first 3 combinations may have seemed kind of complicated. Obviously, I needed some supplemental material to help put them in context, but remember, at the end of the day, you just learned a middle block and a reverse middle block. But now, we're gonna move on to a super simple 6-punch combination. Let's check it out. Some of you may have been intimidated by the 6 punches. Don't worry, it's actually only 3. It's a jab, a cross, a reverse punch, reverse punch, reverse punch, reverse punch. That's it. What you're doing is called a blitz. You're racing down your opponent, putting them on the back leg, forcing them to lose balance as you charge in with punches. So it looks like this. Jab, cross, bah, 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 bah. So what I want you to notice is that I'm not taking giant steps. I throw my jab and my cross, and I just barely step in front of myself. Barely step in front. Reason being is because if I take this giant step here, A, I'm now planted in this weight, which makes it harder for me to shoot forward again. But B, a smart opponent will see, oh, he's overextending himself, kick out that leg, and you'll trip and fall. So I'm right here, and I'm just tiny steps right there. We're going for speed here. So again, you're gonna practice 2 minutes with the left leg in front, 2 minutes with the right leg in front. Jab, cross. So the only difficult part of that, I think, was the middle block and the reverse middle block. The rest of it should seem pretty straightforward, pretty familiar for those of you who have already been here for the first 2 lessons. But now it's time to move on to the punch kick set. Let's do it. Okay, so this is the first combination. It's gonna be jab, cross, rear knee, and you're gonna step forward into the osotogari. The osotogari is the judo outside sweep. So you're bringing your leg across your opponent, trapping both legs, and throwing them over. As you can see in this video, you're taking your opponent's balance, sweeping them off their feet, and throwing them to the ground. Jab, cross, knee, osotogari. 2 minutes with the left leg in front, 2 minutes with the right leg in front. Take your time, enjoy throwing each other. Be safe. I hope introducing judo wasn't throwing too much at you, but now we're gonna go back to striking only. We're gonna go front kick, jab cross, front kick. So here's our combination. We're gonna go front kick, jab cross, front kick. From the other stance, front kick, jab cross, front kick. That looks pretty simple, but notice the small details. If my front kick lands, then my jab is definitely not gonna land. Reason being, either my opponent moved backwards when I hit him, which means now I can't hit him from here, or he was so far away to begin with that I was just perfectly measuring that leg. But again, this won't reach. So I throw my front kick, explode off the back foot to throw that jab cross. Front kick, explode, jab cross, front kick. All right, you're gonna do 2 minutes with the left leg in front, 2 minutes with the right leg in front. Let's see what you can do. Boom. We're only gonna do those 2 combinations today. If you don't have a heavy bag, skip ahead to this time code and we'll do the cool down. But if you do have a heavy bag, keep watching because it's time for some bag work. Today we're not going to focus too much on combinations. Instead, we're going to do a very cardio-heavy workout. You're going to do 5 rounds, 3 minutes apiece, broken up into 30-second intervals. For the first, third, and fifth interval, you're going to be doing single strikes only. And then for the second, fourth, and sixth, you're going to be doing combinations of your own choosing. So, bell goes off, and for 30 seconds, I'm going to do jab, kick, cross, ridge hand, single strikes only, focusing on my speed and my power. Then for the next 30 seconds, I'm gonna start mixing them together. Doing as many punches as I can. Doing as many kicks as I can. Keeping it intense for 30 seconds. Then the timer goes off again. Back to single strikes. Single strikes. You're gonna repeat that for 3 minutes total, then rest for a minute, and do it for 5 rounds total. So I said earlier that I wasn't gonna be showing combinations today, which is true, but there are 2 things that I wanna focus on. First, I wanna focus on what's called the check hook. Here, normally when I throw my hook, I throw it like that there. I stay in place, turn, right there. When I do the check hook, I'm stepping out to the side and throwing that hook at the same time. I'm creating an angle for myself. So I'm here facing my opponent, my rear foot steps to the side, throw that lead hook, then I throw that cross there. If you throw your punches straight down the pipe at your opponent, it's pretty easy for them to defend them. But if you take an angle at the same time as your strike, then you're opening up a whole new world of hurt for them. So I want you to work the check hook, step and throw it at the same time, set up your new combination. That's the first thing I want you to focus on. The second thing I want you to focus on is pivoting off the cross. So I've thrown this cross here. My hip is loaded up, and I'm gonna kick my lead foot out of the way, here, boom, just like that. Again, what I'm doing is I'm taking an angle. So I go here, throw my cross, jump to the side, boom, coming close like that. My feet are going side to side, like that there. I'm moving around my opponent, bouncing around them. All right, you guys, enjoy. Okay. So for the cool down, I'm using a bow staff. If you have a piece of PVC, you can use that, but a broom or a mop works just fine. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking a wide grip on my bow staff, my broom, my PVC, whatever I've got, lifting it up over my head and tucking it around behind me. I'm externally rotating my shoulders and stretching my shoulder blades through this, which should feel amazing after all the punches you've thrown. So I'm gonna do this 10 times, rest a little bit, and then repeat for 3 total sets. Shoulder dislocations, 3 by 10. Enjoy. Okay, so next, you're gonna be here, you're gonna take your right hand, punch across to your left side, tuck it behind your head, and you're gonna rotate to the other side, just like that there. This is called around the world. I'm rotating my hips through this, getting my shoulders involved, getting my back involved, basically just stretching through the range of motion in my body. I get 3 sets of 10 to the left, and then I get 3 sets of 10 to the right. Enjoy. All right, guys, that was our class for the day. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned something, hope you had some fun. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or send me a message. I'll answer any questions you have. Otherwise, good training, and I'll see you next time. Boss.